Hello, Mr. Prime Minister. Are you able to hear me? My name is Mike. I'm with Grand Challenges. Mr. Prime Minister, if you could please speak, we would like to be able to hear your audio. Prime Minister, we will be not able to after you goes live, so I will be messaging you on the chat function. All right. For new, Dr. Suarez, you're going live in 1 minute. Kadesh will be closing. We will then be putting your slide up on camera. I will point to you when you're ready to go. All right, Renew, you're on.
Part of the meeting
In
is what
15
happens when it's
seconds.
over. The actions we all take, the impact you make based on the ideas you're exposed to, the people you meet, and the opportunities you identify. COVID-19 is a reminder we're all in this together. As long as we get support from a world that has learned that most important lesson of the pandemic, we will harness scientific advances to build a better future for everyone. Thank you so much. Always an honor to host you and enjoy the meeting.
Senior officials and colleagues of Government of India and the Foundation. Challenges partners, delegates in India. It gives me great pleasure to you all. Mr. Gates, Ms. Melinda Gates, Excellencies, senior officials and colleagues of Government of India and the Foundation. Challenges partners, delegates in India. It gives me great pleasure to be on behalf of Government of India as a co-host, along with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Challenges Annual Meeting 2020. When we released the 19 in India in October this year for this meeting, the pandemic changed it all. We are meeting, but we are meeting virtually. The Department of Biotechnology Government of India and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation have over the last few years established a strong partnership and launched the Grand Challenges India, which is a full Grand Challenges program of this foundation over 16 countries supporting 20,000 grants. In India, this program, implemented by BIAC, a government of India enterprise, has supported over 120 projects pan-India across maternal and child health, agriculture and nutrition, water and sanitation, medical technologies, etc., which are in alignment with some key government initiatives such as Ayushman Bharat, Swachh Bharat, Poshan Abhiyan, Make in India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, to name it. The partnership has not only helped to build a strong innovation ecosystem, but has also nurtured a pipeline of young researchers and entrepreneurs. The Grand Challenge India has supported cutting-edge research for addressing some important health challenges There is also a special focus on building a strong skill resource base with 500 and startups, housing. Grand Challenge India is proud to partner with the Grand Challenge partners across the world to take innovation across borders. The annual meet is a unique opportunity to bring the global community together, discuss opportunities for cutting-edge science to deliver solutions to the world's greatest challenges. India is privileged to host this event with the foundation of to our global community a comprehensive account of India's strength and leadership, innovation, contributing to the most pressing health challenges, and in this particular case, a special focus on COVID. This pandemic has brought before us the strength of global partnerships, and the United India is committed to supporting these partnerships to accelerate the solutions for India and the world. Under the Prime Minister, sir, your vision and guidance for our research community to take science missions to society are the key principles around which the Grand Challenges program is anchored. This means the participation of 1,700 delegates from 75 countries will collectively build a strong roadmap for equitable access to affordable innovation. Thank you very much.
So that was Renu Swaroop, the Secretary of the Biotechnology Department of the Department of Biotechnology, addressing the Grand Challenges Summit. Prime Minister was there as well. The opening remarks shall be made by Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan in a little while. Later, the Prime Minister will address the inaugural session of this meeting, and we will, talk about that. I'm told I'm joined by my colleague Arun Sharma, who's okay. So this Grand Challenges meet that the Prime Minister will be addressing is being held in collaboration with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. The Grand Challenges annual meeting for the last 15 years has been fostering international innovation and collaborations to address the biggest challenges in health and development. The framing of this year's theme is India for the World, especially with the emphasis on COVID-19. About over 1,600 scientists and researchers from around 40 countries will be joining in this three-day virtual meet where they shall be discussing the strategies of dealing with the pandemic, India's contribution to the in managing the pandemic, the post-pandemic world, and how to achieve the sustainable development goals as far as living in a post-pandemic world. The Prime Minister will be laying out his vision as to how India looks at dealing with this and in a post-pandemic world. My colleague Arun Sharma now joins me for more on that. Arun, we heard Renu Swaroop, the Secretary of the Department of Biotechnology, speak. The Prime Minister in a little while will lay out his vision, but what is your sense? What is the message that India will be sending across to the world on how to deal with the pandemic, how to manage the pandemic?
That's right. The message is likely to be very much specific on the theme of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas and Sabka Vishwas. That's what India is focusing about when we talk about fight against COVID-19 is concerned, as to how can global collaborations can be formed, how can institutional and global partnerships can take place to fight against COVID-19, which will benefit each and every one. be it the developing countries or be it the developed countries. So that's what the focus area of a country like India is. And during the COVID-19 pandemic also, we have seen that how India, became a global exporter of, a vaccine, primarily a pill like hydroxychloroquine, whereby, India did help close to, more than 100 countries, be it in the neighborhood or be it globally to a big developed countries as well. So that's a focus area of India. But why is this Grand Challenge annual meeting is so significant? From last 15 years, this meeting is taking place, but the focus area was on various kind of diseases. Now, these diseases were related to all those which were mentioned in the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 2030. That means making a globe primarily polio-free or various other diseases like Ebola for that matter. So globally, all the countries have fought together as far as various diseases are concerned, be it polio, be it rotavirus, be it diseases like Ebola, and be it other viruses as well. Earlier also in past, we have seen this the kind of SARS virus, destroying the various economies and, playing a havoc as far as various countries are concerned. But now India's role is very much important. And the key area, the emphasis area of this meet is India for the world. So that's the bigger highlight of this entire, a Grand Challenge annual meeting, is that how can India contribute to globally all the countries as far as COVID-19 is concerned, be it the vaccine part, be it the healthcare infrastructure like making N95 masks or PPE kits, or primarily making testing kits which are affordable in nature, affordable in size, or providing nutritional food to combat
its efforts to save lives and find innovative solutions which are rooted in science, strengthened through the power of collaboration and accessible to those with the greatest need. India has responded to the pandemic with a comprehensive national strategy, from countrywide lockdown, appropriate behavioral communications, large-scale testing, and rapidly improving health infrastructure.
विश्व के सबसे बड़े वैक्सीन उत्पादक देश के तौर पर आज मैं वैश्विक समुदाय को एक और आश्वासन देना चाहता हूं। भारत की वैक्सीन प्रोडक्शन और वैक्सीन डिलीवरी क्षमता पूरी मानवता को इस संकट से बाहर निकालने के लिए काम आएगी। हम भारत में और अपने पड़ोस में फेज 3 क्लिनिकल ट्रायल्स की तरफ बढ़ रहे हैं। वैक्सीन की डिलीवरी के लिए कोल्ड चेन और स्टोरेज जैसी क्षमता बढ़ाने में भी भारत सभी की मदद करेगा।
One of the primary areas of focus has been vaccine research. India is today the largest vaccine supplier and is committed to manufacture COVID-19 vaccine not just for India but also for the world. With an emphasis on Atmanirbhar Bharat, the government of India has been at the forefront of battling COVID-19, providing 100% indigenous test kits, affordable PPE kits, hand hygiene devices, respiratory aids and ventilators. Grand Challenges India at Birak is working closely with the ICMR, the Office of the Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India, and Niti Aayog. By utilizing learnings from successful Grand Challenges partnerships in Africa and Brazil, and unlocking the potential of South-South cooperation among developing countries, India is committed to contribute further to the global development architecture and its promise of India for the world. As we stand on the cusp of innovation and discovery, Grand Challenges India remembers the architect of this momentous partnership, Dr. N.K. Bhan. This year, we celebrate another year of the Grand Challenges India partnership, virtually, symbolic of our core principle of bridging borders and uniting thought leaders that embodies the spirit of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The world is one family.
technology sector, it's often celebrated that a few people can make huge breakthroughs. And sometimes people think that may be the way to get advances in all areas of science, including medicine. They have an image of breakthroughs being made just in the lab. And that work is very important. And that model has done great things. But today we're going to talk about advances that require hundreds of people and massive collaboration. We started Grand Challenges 16 years ago with that idea in mind, to build a global network of researchers, scientists, and innovators, and to identify the most important problems so that we could focus their collective brain power on these problems. Now, so many scientists all over the planet, whether they're in this meeting or not, are involved in a particular grand challenge, which is ending the current pandemic. All over the world, some of these researchers are breaking down silos. Rather than waiting to go through a publication process, they're sharing data on a daily basis. Since the pandemic began, scientists have shared more than 137,000 viral COVID-19 genomic sequences. The pharmaceutical companies are cooperating on production in ways that really have never been seen before. For example, the antiviral remdesivir created by Gilead is being produced in Pfizer factories. And international teams of scientists are collaborating at full speed on the vaccine clinical trials. Likely, one or more of these vaccines will be available by early next year. In fact, as we have multiple vaccines, we'll have to make sure we understand exactly where to use each of them in the time when those volumes will be constrained. So the pace of the science has been remarkable. And my bet is that when we look back on the history of COVID-19, one of the bright things will be that the scientific community worked together to come out with the tools to bring this to an end. But despite all this good work, right now, as fast as the science has moved and as great as this collaboration is, the pandemic is still ahead of us. The first COVID-19 vaccine will probably be the fastest that humans have ever gone from identifying a new disease to being able to immunize against it. Still, we all know this virus has managed to plunge the entire global economy into a deep recession. In fact, almost every kill over 1 million people. As we hopefully enter the final chapter of this pandemic, we have to start asking, how can we do better before the next one? Where can we push the frontiers of science so that the next time a novel pathogen appears, it doesn't create a tragedy of historic proportions? The good news here is that COVID-19 has been an instructive adversary. It's pointing us to many areas where we need better R&D, and I want to identify 3 of those. The first is vaccine platforms that can let us develop vaccines many months faster than traditional methods. Imagine how this pandemic would have been if we'd had a COVID-19 vaccine by the summer of 2020. Since the outbreak of the virus, researchers have made huge strides in advancing some new platforms, but they still face time delays and barriers to scale and cost. First, let me take RNA vaccine. This is an area that I know many on the call, including the Foundation, have seen great promise in and have been backing for many years. For the first time, they're being reduced to practice during this pandemic. Probably the first approved vaccines for COVID-19 will be mRNA, and yet we can't count on them alone because they're very hard to scale that manufacturing, and they have a logistical problem because they require an ultra cold chain. Scaling these for the world would mean having hundreds of millions of doses in liquid nitrogen and keeping them at that negative 80 degrees Celsius as they're carried from planes out to get delivered in the world. I'm hopeful that as the mRNA platform matures in the years ahead, we'll solve both the scaling problems, which will bring the cost down, and will make this cold chain requirement unnecessary. The Grand Challenges program has been looking at ways to make vaccines more thermally stable since the very beginning in 2003. And by taking advantage of that research and some new ideas, I think we'll be able to develop mRNA vaccines that don't require that ultra cold chain. Another promising area for rapid vaccine development is structured guided immunogen design. Here we have a different problem. We can design proteins with atomic level accuracy, and that gets us very quickly towards a subunit vaccine. But the subunit vaccines almost always require an adjuvant to induce the desired immune response. And this has become a major barrier, a barrier in cost and scale as well. We have very few approved adjuvants in the world, and not enough to make the billions of doses we need to stop this pandemic. Partly that's because the ingredients in the current adjuvants are so rare. Going forward, we need a way to make even more powerful adjuvants that don't require someone going to the high Andes to harvest the bark of a particular tree or shark fishing. Right now we use shark oil to make the adjuvants like squalene. Chemically synthesized adjuvants, ones that we can make without these restricted raw natural resources, need to be a solution here. We also need to develop small molecule adjuvants that act through different pathways of innate immune activation. These will offer a broad range of options for driving the type and duration of immune response, which we really need for the difficult vaccine challenges that we've been working on for a long time, specifically HIV, tuberculosis, and malaria. So more risk is required to advance new adjuvants, and I do think we can make huge progress on this in the next 5 years. The second area that's very important is monoclonal antibodies. This is an area where we also need more research. Platforms for generating, isolating, and analyzing monoclonals have come a long way, and we're seeing that during COVID-19. It's month 10 of the pandemic, and we're already getting some efficacy data in humans. And compared to the past, that's incredibly fast. Still, monoclonals also face challenges in the time delay to get to scale. As they're currently manufactured with mammalian cells, it takes many months to go from the seed to high-scale manufacturing. But it's possible that different production approaches, using perhaps fungal cells or plants, we could see a 5-fold reduction in that production lead time. And there may even be different ways to produce monoclonal that are cheaper and faster. Nucleic delivery platforms have the potential for accelerating response times even more. And this is an approach I'm personally quite excited about because it would eliminate that step of having to make the antibody proteins and instead just use the body, given the genetic sequence, to make the antibodies itself. And so once you're dosed, would become the monoclonal factory. A third area that we need much better innovation in is diagnostic platforms. COVID, because of the asymptomatic transmission, has shown us that if we want to block change of infection, we can't just look at the people who are symptomatic. In the United States, 3 out of 4 people infected with COVID-19 are never diagnosed. Usually that's because they either have mild symptoms or none at all. And so given the difficulty of getting to testing and the limited scale we have with current techniques, these people are never diagnosed, and so they don't change their behavior and reduce the spread. Even sometimes when people are tested, the results come back negative because some of the tests are not sensitive to small amount of virus. But of course, those people often, as the virus grows, they infect people. So the diagnostics are letting us down. Right now, the current business model is based on finding people with symptoms, and we need to change that. We need sensitive and specific diagnostic for asymptomatics, and we need to make it easy to access. The good news is that the technical piece, the PCR testing, is sensitive and specific. PCR finds that needle in the haystack. A lot of our challenge, though, is the logistics. One vision is that we should have a test kit that we can spread out into the community, either into medicine cabinets or community centers, pharmacies. It would just be a Q-tip swab and an envelope. And anyone who was exposed could self-diagnose without having to stick it too deep into their nose, and then they'd mail off that envelope. Lots of workplaces, airports would have this, and we need to get those PCR machines then using a reel-to-reel process that can process 100 times as many samples as the current best that only do a few thousand a day. Another approach is to use a point-of-care diagnostic platform called Lamura. It's small enough and also very sensitive and can get out to primary care. Also, it's even portable, so a health worker might be able to bring it into the community itself. So diagnostics is another key area that we need to be far better next time around. I'm optimistic that given the scale of this pandemic, although we weren't ready this time, we'll learn from our mistakes and do far better in the future. I'm optimistic about this because so many of you are working at the forefront of the areas I've talked about, and that includes vaccines, diagnostics, and therapeutics. For this whole 16 years, the Grand Challenge community has joined forces to apply the best science to the world's most important problems. And I think if we continue to push science forward in the ways I've described, we'll not only solve the world's great challenges, current challenge, the pandemic, but we'll also help with other diseases, and we'll be ready for the next one. With that, let me go ahead and now introduce our keynote speaker. Before COVID, of course, we'd planned for this meeting to take place in India. And India's very inspiring because it's made huge strides in improving the health of its people over the past 2 decades. And now India's research and manufacturing capacity will be critical to fighting COVID-19, especially when it comes to making vaccines at large scale. To speak more about the country's role in advancing health R&D, I'm pleased to introduce Prime Minister Modi. Welcome to Grand Challenges, Prime Minister. Our foundation is grateful to partner with your government to improve public health in India and around the world. We look forward to what you have to say.
Namaste. Melinda and Bill Gates, Union Minister in my cabinet, Dr. Harshvardhan, delegates from across the world, scientists, innovators, researchers, students, friends, I'm happy to be with all of you for the 16th Grand Challenges Annual Meeting. This meeting was to be held physically in India, but in changed circumstances, it is being held virtually. Such is the power of technology that a global pandemic did not keep us apart. This program has continued as per schedule. This shows the commitment of the Grand Challenges community. It shows a commitment to adapt and innovate. Friends, the future will be shaped by societies that invest in science and innovation. But this cannot be done in a short-sighted manner. One has to invest in science and innovation well in advance. That is when we can reap benefit at the right time. Similarly, the journey to these innovations must be shaped by collaboration and public participation. Science will never prosper in silos. The Grand Challenges program has understood this ethos well. The scale of this program is commendable. In 15 years, you have engaged with several nations. The nature of issue addressed is diverse. You have combined bright global talent to address problems such as antimicrobial resistance, maternal and child health, agriculture, nutrition, wash, water, sanitation, and hygiene. Friends, it has taken a global pandemic to make us realize yet again the importance of teamwork. After all, diseases do not have geographic boundaries. Diseases do not discriminate on the grounds of faith, race, gender, or color. And by disease, I am not only talking about the current pandemic situation. There are several communicable and non. They have been India's greatest assets, especially during the last several months while fighting COVID-19. From containment to capacity building, they have achieved wonders. Friends, India's size, scale, and diversity has always made the global community curious. Our population is almost 4 times that of USA. Many of our states are as populated as other nations in Europe and Asia. Yet, thanks to a people-powered and people-driven approach, India kept its COVID-19 death rate very low. Today, we are seeing a decline in the number of cases per day and in the growth rate of cases. India has one of the highest recovery rate of 88%. This happened because India was one of the first countries to adopt a flexible lockdown when the total cases were just a few hundred. India was one of the first to encourage the usage of masks. India actively began to work on effective contact tracing. India was one of the earliest to deploy the rapid antigen tests. Friends, India is now at the forefront of vaccine development for COVID. Some of them are in advanced stages. We are not stopping here. India is already working on putting a well-established vaccine delivery system in place. This digitized network, along with digital health ID, will be used to ensure immunization of our citizens. Friends, beyond COVID-2, India is known for its proven capacity to produce quality medicines and vaccine at low cost. More than 60% of the vaccines of global immunization are being manufactured in India. We included indigenous rotavirus vaccine in our Indradhanush immunization program. This is a successful example of a strong partnership for a long-lasting results. The Gates Foundation has also been a part of this particular effort. With India's experience and research talent, we will be at the center of global healthcare efforts. We want to help other nations enhance their capacities in these sectors. Friends, in the last 6 years, we have made many interventions which are contributing to a better healthcare system. Take a subject such as sanitation, improved cleanliness, more toilet coverage. Who does this help the most? It helps the poor and underprivileged. It leads to a fall in disease. It also helps women the most. Friends, now we are ensuring that each household gets piped drinking water. This will further ensure disease reduction. We are setting up more medical colleges, especially in rural areas. This ensures more opportunities for the youth. It brings better healthcare to our villages. We are running the world's largest health insurance scheme and ensuring access to everyone. Friends, may we keep using our collaborative spirit for individual empowerment and collective well-being. The Gates Foundation and several other organizations are doing wonderful work. I wish you all fruitful and productive discussions over the next 3 days. I hope to see many exciting and encouraging new solutions coming out from this grand challenging platform. May these efforts further a human-centric approach to development. May they also give our youth the opportunities to be thought leaders for a brighter future. Once again, I thank the organizers for inviting me. Thank you. Thank you very much.